Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mary. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks very much to Angela and Mary for having us today. My name is Vic, and I am lucky enough to be in the same team as Angela and Christy at UWS. And along with Caroline and our colleagues, we support the implementation of a university-wide APPD module called Aspire that Caroline will go on to talk about. I need to apologise as a bit of an interloper into this. I just joined UWS in the summer. So Caroline has been much more involved in the redevelopment of the module and certainly the design and implementation of the e-portfolio. When we were doing some prep for this, I was kind of looking back for something, and I managed to find on Twitter that the last time I was lucky enough to be at the ELESIG group in 2017, I was talking about a pre-induction mini MOOC for transitioning students, and the first word in the title was belonging. So it seems like I'm talking about exactly the same things nearly 6 years on. But I think the only thing that has changed is absolutely everything, because of the context that we're delivering learning and teaching in at the moment, because of the pre-post pandemic that's been mentioned. And I think we're really lucky to be in this session because there's so much commonality with the great presentations that we've heard from colleagues already, and there are so many kind of relevant touch points that really resonate with what we're here to talk about today. So I'll hand over to Caroline, but thanks again for having us this afternoon.
Thanks very much, Vic. And yeah, as Vic said, that my name is Caroline Fleeting, and I'm a lecturer delivering Aspire currently at UWS. So I get to use the wonderful spaces that Angela and Christy were talking about in the Lanarkshire campus. So that's quite good. Okay, so the disruption caused by the COVID pandemic has pushed higher education and much of society into what we would call liminal spaces, a sense of isolation among students and a lack of connection with others. The Aspire curriculum is a strategy at UWS to deliver tangible improvements, to re-engage students and help them develop a sense of belonging by making social connections embedded across all programmes in the university through a suite of modules focused on APPD, which is Academic, Personal and Professional Development. So it's not actually currently running across all programmes at UWS, but that is the kind of longer term ambition. Our ability as practitioners to anticipate and manage students and of course our own expectations of the learning environment in both physical and virtual terms is at once dynamic and fragile. However, the in-between space created by the tension of the desire to nurture a new normal and avoid the snapback gives rise not only to uncertainty, but scope to innovate for enhancement. And now that we have reverted to face-to-face teaching, we must avoid the norm snapping back, such as didactic pedagogy and involving innovative social pedagogies through dialogic and active learning approaches to classrooms to create student success. The convergence of the 4 foundations of belonging at university affects students' sense of belonging and their academic success. Wonke and Pearson define the 4 foundations of belonging as connection, inclusion, support and autonomy. So the e-portfolio assessment that we have within Aspire is a locus for the convergence of these areas. And when delivered well, they all enhance each other. And that's fundamental to student success, is empowering students to take agency of their learning and sharing the learning experience. And the e-portfolio design is authentic in this sense. So liminal space mentioned previously, and the disruption to higher education is challenging and an opportunity for personal growth for us as practitioners and students. Mental health, climate crisis and the cost of living are just some examples of some of the many additional competing demands that students face. So the design of Aspire incorporates these challenges through learning themes and innovative teaching methods to engage students within the learning material, signposting appropriate support and an advising curriculum of individual support as the spine for Aspire. The e-portfolio is a tool to document the individual student journey throughout Aspire, providing opportunity for engagement with personal and professional development. Aspire and the use of the e-portfolio aims to empower students to be successful learners, confident individuals, responsible citizens, and effective contributors. So now if we look at Aspire and how that looks at UWS. So the Aspire curriculum is a strategic commitment within the UWS Learning and Teaching Thematic Plan and UWS Curriculum Framework. Aspire, as I've said, is a suite of modules designed to support, lead and develop learners as they successfully transition into, through and beyond UWS. Aspire is underpinned by factors that contribute to student success at university. Aspire 1 is a 20 credit core SCQF Level 7 module, and the current assessment is a summative e-portfolio comprising of 3 components, which is an action plan, meta skills, and a reflective essay. And currently, for any student taking Aspire, their Aspire advisor will be their personal tutor. And this diagram outlines how the group sessions, so they're 2-hour class sessions, and the class sizes are 24 students. And then there's one-to-one support, which is mapped out as an advising curriculum. So this is fundamental to the Aspire delivery model and student success at UWS. And each of the areas is an integrated dimension of the framework. So by removing at least one of these, it would destabilise the integrity of the Aspire model. The table shows the main changes from the 22-23 delivery model to the current academic year that we're currently in the middle of delivering just now. The justification and influences for the changes are to create a sense of belonging and support transition with an initial group task, which is to tackle the liminal space. So basically in the first week, we give the students a kind of informal group task. We don't call it a presentation or something like that. We're trying to reduce the anxiety to make it feel like from an assessment. It really is just to create that sense of belonging and start to build that network. The contact hours have increased from 12 to 36, which again is linked to that sense of belonging and tackling the liminal space. There's student co-creation, which is featured in term 2, and we want to provide the agency and empower students to take ownership of their learning. The e-portfolio has become part of an active part of the student learning journey, rather than being a kind of standalone session at the end. It now encompasses a blended learning ecosystem. So we've got a scaffolded approach through structured learning themes, and then an in-class focus to explore this further, and a reflective session within the e-portfolio to complete the reflective cycle. So at the end of the class, there will be a couple of reflective questions that the student can then go and kind of close that loop for that learning theme as such. So moving on now to Wonke and Pearson's 4 foundations of belonging. So in terms of connection, research shows that students build connections with other students during in-class sessions. So the increased contact hours that I've previously said to 36 improves this connection alongside the introduction of the mini group task. And literature supports the implementation of group work to build learning communities whilst improving the student experience linked to relevance and student success. In terms of inclusion, so we've got a breadth of facilitated learning, which recognises the diverse nature of students at UWS. We recognise intersectionality of students, and we would negotiate alternative assessments to fit individual needs when required. The Aspire classes are safe spaces for students to reflect and share these experiences to improve future practice. Aspire recognises the importance of employability. Students build work-orientated skills, generic and disciplinary, while working with their advisor on articulating their own transformational learning journey. The active learning within the classroom engages students through individual and group activities, providing opportunity to deploy skills and complete tasks and activities which are required in the workplace. It provides the opportunities for students to practice skills and competencies, and it consolidates capabilities that are part of employability, such as coping with uncertainty, working under pressure, communicating and interacting with others, as well as better command of disciplinary content knowledge and skills, workplace awareness, experience, and generic skills. So in terms of support, Aspire eliminates the deficit model and provides an extended induction to all students. A key component of student work in the module is the creation with the advisor of a personal plan and the collection of a body of evidence that demonstrates the student's achievements. In terms of autonomy, the Aspire modules recognise the extraordinary diversity of the UWS student body in skills, experience, needs, pathways and aspirations. So students get to select their study options within the Aspire module from a range of generic and disciplinary options, plus experiential and co-curricular learning, providing students with agency to make informed decisions about their learning builds that autonomy. So introducing the VLE that we use for this, and it's AULA. So AULA is a visual learning system, and students will use this for independent study and engage with learning themes prior to the Aspire class. Each programme has its own AULA site, which has all class materials such as the module handbook, assessment information, and student guidance and policies. The AULA content serves as information, learning and activities to support their APPD journey. So this example shows the content for term 1. So you can see the themes 1 to 12. Students have activities to complete within this and can post questions direct to the class or the advisor by using the community field. And advisors can also post messages to students using this feed also. The preparation activities will allow for students to prepare for classroom discussions. And for term 1, colleagues within the institutions from professional services, so in terms of academic skills, careers, wellbeing and counselling, they've created this asynchronous content on AULA, which supports the Aspire advisors to bring the learning themes into the classroom, while supporting the students' individual development and also being a resource of information that they can access if and when required. So the e-portfolio itself is completed on PebblePad, and students access that again directly through AULA to go onto their e-portfolio. So how does the e-portfolio actually meet the 4 foundations of belonging? So the diagram shows the final assessment and how this links to Aspire. So the orange shows term 1 and the green shows term 2. So the final assessment is that as an e-portfolio, it's a digital collection of artefacts that showcases a student's achievements, skills and reflections, promoting self-awareness. It provides the opportunity for a student to express and reflect on their personal and professional identity, as well as considering their values, their goals and their development needs. The use of an e-portfolio in this context is a powerful way to enhance student belonging at university, as it can foster a sense of connection, inclusion, support and autonomy among students. And each of these components of the Aspire delivery model are essential for the e-portfolio preparation and student success. So everything that we do, from the AULA content to the group sessions, feeds into this final assessment. This is how the e-portfolio looks in PebblePad. So it's one workbook for students, making it easier to navigate and complete. So we have the grey themes at the top, theme reflections, which is where the student would reflect on the learning theme after completion of AULA content and the in-class discussion. The group space is where they can save artefacts that they're working on for their group, any group activities that they're doing in class. Their action plan is completed in term 1, where they will assess their skills and experience. They will complete meta skills to help develop towards their action plan, and then the reflective essay is where they would reflect on how well they've met their learning and development needs, which they've outlined within the action plan, and how they've managed to put their meta skills into practice. The reflection sections within the themed reflections can also help to prepare for the one-to-one advisor discussions, and also the questions can feed directly into the assessments, so when they're thinking about the action plan and reflective essay. So this is the action plan and how this looks in PebblePad. The image shows how students complete their action plans. This template was already configured for completion. Everything is already automatically saved on PebblePad. The student doesn't have to create anything. And students receive feedback on this action plan also via PebblePad. So all of their assessments are submitted via this e-portfolio tool, and we would provide feedback on PebblePad also. So we will admit that we are not using PebblePad to its full capacity, but as we develop the model of Aspire, then we will hopefully explore PebblePad's full capabilities, and we can develop this whilst we're actually developing the Aspire model. So just to kind of finalise, Aspire is a tangible way for us to re-engage students and help them develop a sense of belonging. This strategic objective is implemented to overcome liminal space, ensure the norms of practice do not come snapping back as we have returned to face-to-face teaching following COVID pandemic, disrupting the rituals of teaching and learning, but also while we're dealing with the competing student demands. And when delivered well, the four foundations of belonging interact and enhance each other to achieve student success. Within Aspire, the e-portfolio is a locus for the convergence of these four foundations. So connection, inclusion, support and autonomy, and the assessment encompasses each of these areas to ensure that this success is achieved. Thank you.